I was only a child. I didn't know. You will live.
People say the sea never forgets. What you take from it, one day it will surely come back for. Some dead may sleep in the waves, but sooner or later they rise again. Adaeze never believed such talk. To her, the ocean was just water, wide, beautiful and harmless. But the past has a way of finding you, even inside your own home. And on one silent night in Port Harcourt, the sea came knocking at her door. Adaeze was a young woman in her early 30s, married to Chuka, a young handsome man, and their marriage was blessed with 3 energetic children. At last, life seemed to be falling into place. She had a stable job, a husband who stood by her, and a modest and cozy home in Port Harcourt, where her family felt safe. One rainy evening, while driving home, she noticed a girl sitting by the roadside. The girl looked about 16, barefoot, hair rough, and her eyes seemed to shine faintly under the dim streetlights. Adaeze felt her heart tighten. "Where is your family?" she asked gently, holding out an umbrella. "I don't have any family," the girl replied softly. Her voice had a strange sweetness, like a song drifting in the wind. Adaeze hesitated, then decided to help. She brought the girl home, introduced her to Chuka as Ngozi, and said she would be staying with them as a helper. Ngozi was everything Adaeze could have prayed for in a helper. From the very first week, she blended into the family's routine as if she had always been there. She cooked mouth-watering meals that filled the house with rich aromas. She played with the children until their laughter rang through the rooms. And at night, she sang them lullabies, so soft and sweet that even Adaeze sometimes found herself pausing just to listen. The house had never been this neat. Floors sparkled, clothes were neatly folded, and not a speck of dust seemed to survive under her wash. Even Chuka, who was usually reserved with praise, admitted openly that the girl was indeed a blessing in their home. "Adaeze, you really did well bringing her in," he would say with a smile, watching Ngozi move about quietly, almost gracefully. But for all the perfection she brought, there was something about Ngozi that Adaeze couldn't shake off. The girl never sat with them at the dining table. Whenever food was served, she would politely smile and claim she wasn't hungry, no matter how tempting the meal was. At first, Ngozi thought it was humility or shyness, but as the days stretched into weeks, it began to bother her. Then came the strongest discovery. Every now and then, Adaeze would find fish bones in the trash bin. Not just one or two, but small, scattered piles of them, picked clean as if someone has feasted in silence. The most disturbing part was that Adaeze had not cooked fish in the house on those days. In fact, sometimes it had been weeks since fish last entered her kitchen. Each time she saw the bones, her stomach tightened with unease, though she tried to brush it aside. Ngozi, with her gentle face and sweet song, seemed perfect on the surface. Yet deep down, Adaeze felt there was a part of her that didn't quite belong. A part shrouded in mystery, just out of reach. The children adored her. Every evening, she told them stories about a shiny city under the sea, where roofs were made of shells and walls glowed in the dark. One night, Adaeze overheard her say, "Would you like to visit there? It's better than here. Nobody cries. Nobody ever grows old." Her son answered innocently, "But mommy said we must not play near water." Ngozi smiled and her teeth glinted a little too sharp. Months later, Adaeze began to notice strange things. Puddles of water under the kitchen at night. Salt water stains on the wall. One afternoon, she caught Ngozi at the backyard tap, cupping water in her hands and humming a tune so beautiful that Adaeze froze, as though enchanted. When Ngozi noticed her watching, she quickly let the water spill and her face turned cold. Soon, life began to crumble. First, 6-year-old Amaka, Adaeze's second child, fell sick. She coughed endlessly, grew pale, and wasted away. She was taken to the hospital, but the doctors found nothing wrong. Sometimes she would say, "Mommy, the water is calling me." But Adaeze would not understand. Weeks later, she died quietly in her sleep. The house grew heavy with fear and grief. Adaeze wept day and night, and Chuka became moody and withdrawn. 3 days after the burial of Chiamaka, Chuka lost his job. The company claimed it was downsizing, but Chuka believed someone had set him up. He grew bitter and worried about everything. As their lives began to fall apart, Ngozi seemed to flourish. Her skin glowed, her eyes shone, and her voice grew sweeter. The neighbors began to gossip. One woman said that whenever Ngozi passed, dogs refused to bark and cats fled under beds with Phil standing on end. Another said she saw the girl fetching water at midnight, chanting as if calling someone unseen. At first, Adaeze dismissed them, but the gossip would not stop. Children in the compound began avoiding their house. Some claimed they heard singing from inside the walls, even when the windows were shut tight. One night, Adaeze herself saw it. She had woken for water and spotted Ngozi in the backyard. Moonlight fell on her face, and for a second, her eyes reflected like a fish's eyes, cold, flat, and silvery. Ngozi tilted her head, humming, and the wind rattled the trees as though answering her call. When Ngozi turned and noticed Adaeze watching, she simply smiled. That smile chilled Adaeze more than a Harmattan breeze. She told Chuka, but he brushed it aside. "You are grieving, Adaeze," he said gently. "You are only imagining things." But Adaeze knew it wasn't grief. The house itself felt wrong. Sometimes she woke to the smell of the ocean on her bedsheets. Sometimes she dreamt of waves crashing inside her living room, swallowing everything she loved. One Saturday evening, their eldest daughter was playing in the backyard when she suddenly screamed. Adaeze and Chuka rushed out to find her writhing on the ground, clutching her ankle. 2 bloody puncture marks glistened. A snake bite. They drove through the night desperately. At the hospital, the doctors shook their head. The venom was already too deep. At a herbalist hut, the old man chanted, spat some palm wine into the fire, and tied charms around the ankle. Nothing worked. By morning, the girl's breathing grew faint. Adaeze rocked her tightly, begging God not to take another child. But the girl slipped away in her arms. Ngozi was there. She had followed them back. She stood in the corner, calm, her eyes shining like whetstone. She showed no grief, only a strange, satisfied stillness. That night, while the house groaned in mourning, Adaeze heard her humming in the kitchen. The sound twisted her stomach. After the second burial, nightmares filled the house. Adaeze dreamt of her dead children by the sea, waving and calling her name. Sometimes she saw her house filling with water, furniture floating as she screamed for help. One night, Chuka whispered, pale with fear, "I dreamt I was drowning. a girl pulled me into the deep. She said she knew me. Adaeze, it was Ngozi. Adaeze lay awake beside him, her heart pounding. The signs were too many. The whispers, the strange happening, the children's death, and now Chuka's dream. She realized she was no longer just afraid. She was trapped. Ngozi was growing stronger every day. Whatever she wasn't sent to help. She was sent to destroy. One night, Adaeze woke to find Ngozi standing over the children's bed, humming, but her legs shimmered with scalp. And for a moment, Adaeze saw a long, slithering tail. Her heart pounded as she dragged her into the parlor. "Who are you?" she demanded. Ngozi smiled slowly, her teeth sharp. "I am not Ngozi, I am Nnenna, daughter of the sea. Years ago, when you were a child, you and your friends caught a small fish. That fish was sacred to my mother, the queen of the waters. You mocked it and you left it to die in the sun." Adaeze gasped. She remembered it. The small fish ringing on sand, the careless laughter, the dare not to put it back in the stream. "You killed one of us," Nnenna said coldly. "Now I have come to take what you love most, your children, your husband, your peace." Suddenly, water burst from the walls, flooding the floor. The doors flew open into roaring waves. Adaeze and her husband screamed. Chuka shouted Adaeze's name. The house shook as though a storm had entered it. Adaeze fell to her knees, crying, "Please, I was only a child. I didn't know what I was doing." Nnenna's form flickered, half human, half mermaid. She stared at them and whispered, "You will live, but you will never forget." And with that, she vanished, leaving only a puddle of salty water and a faint smell of the sea. From that night, Adaeze's house was never the same. Every laugh, every dream carried the sound of waves. And deep down, Adaeze knew one day the sea would return to finish what it started.